its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face into an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing,
Hello, welcome to The Awakening. As usual, I'm your host, Angela Brown. Today's topic for discussion, is it too late for a baby? Is it too late for a baby? And I've got a wonderful guest with me today. She's a fertility specialist, and her name is Dr. Fumiya. Famayua, I'm sorry, audience. But she's here today to answer a lot of questions that I have for her. She's going to tell us some about her life and the years that she's been involved with fertility. And I hope you sit back tonight, or YouTube, you know where I'm at, and watch the show. Welcome, Doctor, to the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad you came. Okay, let's start. You are a fertility specialist. What is that?
Well, I first trained in obstetrics and gynecology.
And you have to do that before you become a
You have to do that. And
Okay.
then I went for extra training just to specialize in infertility and
Why did you
reproductive
want just
endocrinology.
infertility? Tell me why.
I think it was just, I was curious, and
Curious
I
the
found
cat.
it a very exciting field of study. It was exciting for me.
Well, you look very intelligent, very
Thank
young,
you.
very healthy, and I think you love your work.
I do. Thank you.
Okay, a little personal stuff. You're married,
Yes, I am.
and you have 3 children?
I do.
3 children, and you work over in the Hyattsville area, University Boulevard.
I actually work over in Wheaton, Maryland.
Oh, Wheaton, okay.
The other end of University Boulevard,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. All right, the title for today's show, Is It Too Late to Have a Baby?
yes.
How late is it?
Well, I don't like to put a number.
Okay.
However, everybody's relative. But certainly when you're getting over your 40s, you should be concerned if you're still interested in having a child.
You should still make, at the age of 40, what you're saying is make that final decision to be
Yeah,
certain.
I would start thinking about it because the window of opportunity is rapidly closing.
Really?
Yes.
So what happens? Do our organs, our female organs stop putting out estrogen, or?
Well, what
Ovaries?
happens is that women are born with a fixed number of eggs.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
How much are we
So-
supposed to have?
Well,
2 for breakfast, 2 for lunch?
there you go. By the time you're actually born, you've actually lost a whole lot of eggs. The highest amount you will have is when you're in your mother's womb.
Okay.
And you have a process of atresia, so that
What is atresia?
you have a process of loss. Some eggs get
Oh.
recruited and are lost, so by the time a child is born, you've actually lost a good percentage of those eggs. Now, as you
I never knew that.
Yes, as you go through life, whatever is left, you continue to lose them every single month. So
But you
that,
have a period, you're saying?
well, each time you have a period, it's because you've ovulated 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
For you to ovulate, your body has to recruit a group of eggs, out of which one is selected to be the egg, but the group that's recruited is lost. It doesn't go, oh yes, I used one, let's put the others back in storage. That group is lost. So each month you recruit.
So as you age, you lose.
As you age, you lose.
You lose some of those eggs.
Yes,
Okay. So it's
and
better to get,
that's number one.
that's number 1. Okay.
You know, and that process of loss, it can vary.
Listen to your audience. As we age, we lose the eggs.
The other thing too is that the eggs are sort of frozen in a stage of division at the time you are born, and that process does not resume until the egg is fertilized. So what happens, you know, when the egg is frozen, the DNA is lined up, but it's not doing anything.
So it's just
So,
laying there.
exactly.
Lying there, I
But
should say.
if you will, the poles or the strands or the strings that are holding the DNA in place can fragment. So,
And what does that mean?
well, if you will, if you imagine the DNA lined up in a pole and held to the end of the cell by strings, and just laying frozen, waiting for fertilization to occur. However, the mechanism holding the DNA in place can fragment as you get older.
Okay.
So that is why you have more genetic mistakes, if you will.
More genetic mistakes,
So not only are you losing the eggs, but the eggs are also getting older.
Okay, now
So
I'm
you
getting
have
this, okay.
two things against getting pregnant as you get older.
Okay, but are there a lot of women, have you seen a lot of women coming to you who want to get pregnant at an older age?
I have a fair number of patients who are in their 40s that are trying to get pregnant.
Okay. And how much, does that always work?
Yes, it does.
It does?
It works for some patients, not for others.
Okay, let's say 20 women who want to get pregnant. Out of those 20, how many can you actually help?
Well, it depends on what the problem is.
Okay, give me some problems.
Well, the question is the uterus functionally competent? Are their fallopian tubes open?
Mm-hmm.
Are they still ovulating?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a partner who has competent sperm? You know, so all those things go into play.
Okay.
So you have to first evaluate that. And once you do that, you can now decide, okay, you can attempt to conceive, and we think you have a shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can say, well, the odds are fairly stacked against you, and you might want to consider alternatives.
Okay. Now, do you do any planting of other women's eggs into women, or I don't understand this whole thing.
What do you,
If a
you're
woman
probably
doesn't have health,
referring to donor eggs? Is that
yes,
what you're
donor
asking?
eggs.
Yes, yes, we do.
You do that too.
Yes. Well, if for some patients who have no eggs left, one of the options they have is to consider a donor IVF cycle, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
That's an option they have.
And how many eggs do you plant in
Well,
a woman to try to have a child? 3 or 4 when she only wants one baby.
Yes. If a woman is younger, you can certainly put back 1 in or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But as a woman gets older, and if she has things like fibroids or
That's
scar
fibroid tumors.
tissue, you can put up to 3. If you know that she has very bad embryos, you have to evaluate, and there are certainly guidelines, but you have to evaluate and actually have a discussion with the patient at the time.
Now, what is an embryo?
An embryo is when an egg from a woman has been successfully fertilized by sperm from a man. The result is what is called an embryo, and that's what grows into a baby.
I was very lucky, I think, when I first started having periods. I would ovulate and I would know it. I would have this severe pain in my right side, and it hurt me so bad I could hardly walk or even sit down. But then when I tried to have my daughter, I couldn't conceive. My fallopian tube was closed.
Right.
So my doctor, OBGYN doctor, he's passed away now, he went in with some kind of a gadget, and he felt like he was blowing air up. But oh my God, I had such intense pain. And bingo, that same night I got pregnant.
Well,
honest to God, that very same night.
We've certainly have a lot of stories like that.
Really?
But most
so
commonly,
I'm not weird then?
No, you're not. Most commonly, to find out if the tubes are open, most of the time you would do what is called a dye study or a hysterosalpingogram, in which dye is injected into the uterus and X-ray films are taken.
That wasn't done.
We've certainly had cases where patients have had that done, and sure enough, a month later, they come back to you and they're pregnant already.
I bet they're happy, aren't they?
I bet they are.
I was so happy with that baby. Also, age has a lot to do with this. Now, say I was 50 years old, okay,
Right.
and I decided I wanted to have a child. I had never had a baby.
Right.
And I came to you. What would
Right.
you do? Say,
Well,
listen, lady, you're just too damn old.
At 50,
Never been pregnant.
Right. The chances of getting any viable or competent eggs from your own ovaries are very, very, very low, almost nil. So to conceive at 50, you would almost always require a donor egg.
A donor egg, okay. Now, we spoke just briefly on the telephone, and I was concerned about women in their late 50s.
Right.
And did you hear about the woman on television who was in her 60s, and she became the mother of 8?
I didn't hear about that one.
Oh my God, as God is my witness, she had 8 babies, and they were all healthy.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Well, what about the girl out in California who had the 8 babies?
Well, she was certainly younger.
Yeah, she was younger.
But my concern with someone who's over 50, you have to understand pregnancy itself is a high-risk condition.
At any age?
At any age.
I didn't know that.
It's wonderful to be pregnant and
no, it's not.
Well, you know, we are in our culture where I come from. Yes. It's a thing of great joy to go through 9 months.
You.
I know, to go through 9 months of pregnancy and come out at the end with a healthy baby and a healthy mother.
Yes.
But at certain times, you have to wonder for the health of the woman. Pregnancy is stressful on the body.
On the heart.
On the heart. You have increased risk of diabetes in pregnancy. You have increased risk of forming blood clots.
Oh my gosh.
So there are other issues that go into play. So it's not just a matter of egg, sperm, bingo, baby, you're done. It doesn't work that way because your body is not as strong as it, you know,
used to be
when you're in your 30s or 20s.
Right. No, but that's amazing, though. Like I said, you can try, and you cannot have a baby. And you go to the doctor, and he's just, boom, he opens up the doors, and you're able to have a baby.
Well, we certainly tell patients at any age, if you've been trying by yourself for a year, you might want to consider going to see a doctor.
Now, you mean not trying by yourself, but trying with your partner for a year.
Well, of course. Well, you do need a source of sperm.
We need a spouse, okay, somebody.
Right. But if you're over 35, I would say if you've been trying for 6 months, don't wait the full year. 6 months you're trying, it's not working. Go see your doctor. Try to find out what's going on. Because as you said, maybe the tubes are blocked. So when you continue to try month after month, all you're doing is setting up deep frustration, which can be very painful.
I'm sure, but even 8 babies at one time, that's horrendous.
That is very risky. I would not advise that for anybody.
I would be so afraid to do that, you
that's
know?
too risky, both for the mother and for the baby.
But the lady was in her 60s. She was over from a foreign country. I don't know where it was from. But they had her on television. Her husband was standing next to her, and there was all these little 8 babies lined up.
I would have to...
It was phenomenal to see that.
I would have to research the authenticity of that.
I would, yeah.
Because that is interesting if that is really true.
I've also heard that if a teenager gets young, has a baby at an early age, that baby can also be affected, some kind of, like the child has a problem, health problems. Have you heard anything like that? Because that was one teenager just wanted me to ask you. Not particularly.
Well, for teenagers, the issues that we have are usually a teenager has problems with prenatal care. So if you have improper prenatal care, if you have non-compliance during pregnancy, you're certainly set up for having complications at the end of the pregnancy. So
aren't the babies affected as well?
It depends on whatever happened during the pregnancy, what sort of lifestyle the mother had.
Oh, so it's what she ingests and so forth is what you're saying.
How she let, to be a teen pregnant mom is a high risk by itself because of behavior.
Right.
So that can contribute to the outcome. And if that teenager has not been going for prenatal care, you have a much higher risk.
Well, I have never said this to anybody, not on the air or anything, but I was married and I was 15 years old. There was domestic violence in the family, and there was drinking, and I married someone quite older than I was, and I got pregnant, and he beat me up, and I was probably in my 3rd month, and I lost that baby. So I would not recommend teen pregnancy to any girl.
Yes, there are always issues with relationships anyway.
Always.
Maturity comes into play.